Hello and welcome. It's the best time of the year. Major conference tournaments and the best mid-major conference tournaments are now here finally. After a week of getting teased by the Missouri Valley Conference and the Ohio Valley Conference,
Woo!
it's time. It's time for the big dogs to eat, baby.
Yep.
What's up, Mr. Bragg?
It's about time. And now we get to see the fate get exposed. This is my
That's
favorite
right.
week. Beside March Madness. You know what I'm saying? Favorite week of the season. This week.
Beside the big tournament
Beside the big
and the
one.
NIT,
But
Darren's favorite NIT. But
hey, we might be a contender for the NIT. That's all I'm gonna say.
hey,
You
GMU
might
for
see
NIT
you
champ.
might see GMU in there.
Or maybe even a 3 seed or so.
Maybe. I wouldn't be mad at it.
Never know. Never know. But we got 5 conference tournaments we're going to predict today. We're going to go CUSA, Conference USA, AAC, the American, with the number 1 team in the country in it. Then we got the Pac-12, then the A10, and the ACC to round things off. How are we feeling
hmm
about the tournaments coming up this week?
Um,
A lot of
you
favorite
know,
wins.
Yeah, there's not a ton of upsets that I really saw. I mean, there's, obviously some here and there because it's March, so anything can happen. But a lot of these end with, I feel like the team that you expect to win coming out on top. So, but I mean, that's why they're on top. So I'll probably get a few of these wrong. I'm already expecting it, but should be good. Should be a fun week.
Agreed. Agreed. Yep, I'm excited. ACC tournaments here, and I'm going to make some bread because
Mm.
I'm the best ACC basketball picker in the world. But we got 4 more tournaments to pick too, and I hope I'm just as good at those. So we can just get things going right now. If you want to start it off with the CUSA,
Yeah, yeah. So for the Conference USA, do you want to pull up like the bracket, or do you have it?
I have my bracket right here. If you want me to pull it up,
Yeah, you can do that just so we can show them, kind of how the bracket looks, who's playing who, and then while I'm explaining mine, or you can start and then I'll explain mine,
okay.
and then we
So
can just
you see that good
let
right
me.
there?
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect.
Does it look better like that or that?
That's perfect because my head is we're on the way on the bottom, so keep it like
Okay.
this.
All right. So we'll just gotta read out the seeds 1 through 11. FAU got the Florida Atlantic got the 1 seed. North Texas with the 2 seed. UAB 3 seed. Middle Tennessee State's the 4 seed. Charlotte's the 5 seed. Rice is the 6 seed. FIU's the 7 seed. Western Kentucky 8. UTEP 9. Louisiana Tech 10 and UTSA 11.
Hmm.
So so at the back end of these conferences like this, it can get a little boring, a little some bad teams playing some bad basketball. But to start it out to with a chance to play the 1 seed, UTEP and Western Kentucky will be facing off. I picked Western Kentucky. I think I looked into it, and Western Kentucky had really dominated this game. Um, and I just don't think there's any way UTEP puts up even a fight against Western Kentucky.
Yeah, I agree. I mean Western Kentucky is normally better, so I'm kind of picking them off name too. But I mean, I would take Western Kentucky if I had to.
Right. Yeah. Next game, the 6-11, the highest seed in this round. Rice takes on UTSA, and if you're the worst seed in the conference in this conference, there's no way you win. So Rice by a lot to a little.
So actually, I'm going with the upset. It's just me and UTSA spanning back to college football. UTSA holds a deep place next to my heart. So, and they've been playing a lot better of recently. They had a real close game against UAB on the road. Um, UAB is the 3 seed. So I'm gonna go with UTSA in a close one.
Hey, I mean, upsets happen, but I'll
It's
just tell you
March.
this: UTSA is gonna do what they do in football and go over in postseason play. So,
Okay.
so then the next one is FIU and Louisiana Tech. I got a feeling you went Louisiana Tech here. I went FIU. These higher seeds are there for a reason. I mean, I think Louisiana Tech can. I mean, this game can go either way, but FIU is my pick right here.
Hey, if you thought I picked Louisiana Tech, you picked right. Give me what's the mascot?
Bulldogs.
Yeah, give me Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. I
He's a
mean, both
Bulldog
these
fan.
teams suck though, so but I'll take Tech.
I'll take the Panthers. FAU and Western Kentucky for me, and you. FAU is the best team in this tournament, and it's not close. They're going to dominate Western Kentucky, and there's nothing else to say about that one for me. You'll
Yeah,
probably agree on that one.
I definitely do agree. I got FAU probably by like 20, 25.
Yeah, Charlotte and Middle Tennessee State. We may see some differences here. I'm going Charlotte. Charlotte. I think they split in the season, right? Or did Charlotte win both?
They split.
They split. I went Charlotte here just for the fact that they're playing good ball right now, and they beat Middle Tennessee State already. There's no reason they can't. I mean, this game's a back and forth, 4 or 5 game for a reason. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
going Charlotte here.
Yep, I do have Middle Tennessee State. Um, when I was looking at Charlotte, I feel like they've been kind of cold. They did have the win. I want to say they beat North Texas on the road, so that was their good win. But around that, they had a lot of losses to teams like UTEP. I want to say they lost to UTSA as well. Middle Tennessee hasn't been great either, but I would just give the slight edge to Middle Tennessee.
Okay. Okay. I can definitely see it happening. UAB and Rice. I went UAB here. They dominated this game twice. I think they won by 18 both times, if I can remember correctly. Or did they split?
I'm pretty sure UAB won both. I think one was close and one was a blowout.
Okay, yeah, I went UAB here. It was no. But I got a feeling you're gonna ride Rice until you die.
I didn't pick Rice. If you remember,
Oh wow.
I picked UTSA in the
Oh,
first round.
my fault. My fault.
Oh no, actually you were right. UAB beat Rice by 18 and by 30. I didn't look at it because I was looking at UTSA.
Right.
But yeah, I have UAB here as well. They just played UTSA on the road and beat them only by 5. But then when they played at UAB's house, they won by like 23. So, and UAB is just a better team. They have the better players. Give me the Blazers.
Blazers for the win. And I have North Texas versus FIU. You have North Texas versus Louisiana Tech.
Mhm.
Going North Texas here, blowout fashion.
Yeah, North Texas should win this one pretty handily.
And that sets us up for FAU and Charlotte. And like I said before, FAU is going to run through this tournament. They're going to
Yeah,
smoke Charlotte. It's not going to be close.
yeah. Um, so I have Middle Tennessee State, and the last time FAU lost a game was actually to Middle Tennessee State. Now, Middle Tennessee State was at home. They've lost their last 2 on the road, which is why I'm going to go FAU. But I could see this game, it could be interesting for a little bit. I would still take FAU by about 10, but I think Middle Tennessee State could keep it close for a little.
And the last one's the 2-3 game. I debated for a while on going UAB in this one, but after looking at the matchups, and I believe North Texas won both by 5. I really think go either way
Mm.
still, but I think North Texas just is a little bit better, and I think it'll be a great game. I mean, I may tune in, probably not, but um, I think North Texas pulls it out in the end. Maybe even an overtime game. I could see that happen.
Yeah, I'm going to go North Texas also. They're just the hotter team. They've won both meetings. Um, yeah, North Texas.
Close or not close?
It'll be close.
Okay,
It'll be
last but
close.
not least, in the championship, FAU and North Texas, the 1 and 2 seed. And like I said, I think FAU wins this one. Did they split on the season, or am I?
Mm, I think FAU won both. I believe
Okay, yeah, I'm sure they did. But
they won by
I'm
4 both
FAU.
times. Yeah, FAU won by
Oh, that's
4 both times.
okay. Yeah, give me FAU.
Give me FAU as well. But again, another close one.
Close one. So FAU is the Conference USA champ. I think most people would pick that. Some sleepers in the tournament would definitely be in this tournament. Could be UAB and North Texas. I mean, they're not really sleepers, but they're probably the two other teams that can win this.
Yeah, I feel like once you get to like, there's like a gap between like Rice.
UAB and Milk. Oh,
Hmm? Oh, well, yeah,
go
that
ahead.
too. There is like a slight like UAB is much better than Middle Tennessee, but I feel like it happens again once you get to the lower ones. Like
Right.
Rice, about Rice to Charlotte is decent, and then from FIU under, they're just like they're just inconsistent. Really,
Right.
not very good.
Yeah. So that's all for the Conference USA. Next up, we're going to be doing the AAC, home of Houston, the number one team in all of the land.
Hmm.
But other than Houston and a few, about three more teams, there's not really anything to excite me. But game one, the 8 seed versus the 9 seed, and I went South Florida. Um, South Florida dominated East Carolina when they played. I don't know. I can't remember if they played once or twice, but they beat them both times. They played twice, and if they played once, they dominated them big time. So I don't think this one's close at all.
Yeah, I'm just double checking because I think I want to say they played twice. I don't really remember. Um, they won by 8 and 11 both
Yeah,
games. So I also have South Florida, and South Florida's played decent as of late. They lost to Wichita State in their last game, but like they beat a UCF team on the road. So yeah, I'll take South Florida.
okay. Um, you can see mine. I got a lot of upsets happening, but um, Wichita State takes on Tulsa, and um, this one's not going to be close. Tulsa's terrible.
Yeah,
Tulsa's horrible.
Tulsa
Tulsa's
is
horrible.
by far the worst team here. So I
Yeah,
got
it's not
Wichita
close.
State.
UCF and SMU. I went UCF here because UCF dominated SMU when they played. I mean,
Yep.
I know that. I mean, that's not always accurate, but
No, they beat them twice though,
yeah,
I believe. So yeah, I would
and
take
they beat them
UCF.
85-53 one time.
They did. Yeah. SMU, there's been times where SMU has surprised me, but I just don't. I think UCF, the way they play is real slow, real patient. They also, I
They only played one time, by the way, and they won by 22,
SMU in
32.
that game, I remember because SMU didn't have their best player, but UCF also didn't have their starting point guard. So I feel like it kind of evens out. Maybe I could see UCF winning by like 10, 15, but I'll take
Yeah, I agree.
UCF.
Now we got Houston and South Florida, and I don't think this is any question to anybody ever.
Houston,
Houston's going to blow them out.
yeah.
Then we got Cincinnati and Temple. Cincinnati was the AC champs last year, if I'm right, if I can remember correctly.
I
They
believe
won the
so.
AAC last year. So they're going to beat Temple this week. Not because of that, but because they're just going to beat them.
Temple also doesn't have Khalif Battle, who was their leading scorer. He's been out for like the past 5 games, and they're like 3-2, 2-3 without him. So I'll take Cincinnati.
Next up, as you can see, probably, I have
Yep.
an upset. Tulane and Wichita State. Listen, man, when the Shockers, when March comes around for the Shockers, they don't play games. They, they're ready to beat anybody, and you're not safe playing the Shockers in March. And if your name's Tulane, you're the first victim because Tulsa doesn't matter. Tulane, you're the first victim, and you're not going to be the last.
I crazy because I have this same upset. I actually have Wichita State. They've been hot
Great
in the
minds
year.
think.
Tulane's look shaky. But Tulane, if Tulane is one of those teams where if their shots are falling, you're not gonna win. They're a team like
Right.
Miami, team like Wake Forest. They play real quick, a lot of shooters. So, but Wichita State is a team I feel like they match up well, good defensively, and they try to slow the game down. So I feel like a team like Wichita State is just a bad matchup.
Wichita
I
State
don't.
plays March basketball. They play kind of basketball you have to play to win in March,
Yep,
and
that's
they
true.
actually split this season series, so it's not that far fetched of an
Yeah,
upset.
I'll take the Shockers.
And surprisingly enough, the away team won both matchups. But Memphis and UCF, not much to talk about here. Memphis is the best team or the better team. They're the second best team in the conference on paper, but they're going to beat UCF. UCF's a basketball and baseball. I meant football and baseball school, so
Yep,
they're fine. They don't.
I am taking Memphis as well. This Memphis team has looked a lot different compared to the ones because I feel like the teams like that they had the past few years with like Amani Bates, players like him, they were kind of playing like more so for themselves. Now I feel like this is the first year in a while they've had like a good solid team. They've kept it close with Houston 2 games, and I mean a
Right.
team like UCF is not going to challenge them.
No, they're not. Houston and Cincinnati. This game is going to be close. I'm going to say that from the start. Um, just because Cincinnati, they know how to win in March. I mean, they're not Wichita State level in March, but they know how to win in March. They play well last year. They're a decent basketball team. I think they'll keep it close just because it's tournament time and nobody gets an easy win in the semifinals of a conference tournament.
No,
But I'm
I
going
agree.
Houston.
I have Houston too. But these games are always close. I feel like every time Houston and Cincinnati play, it's like in between 5 and 10 points. So I will take Houston.
And as you can see, I didn't stop with my fandom. Wichita State is going to take down Memphis. I'm calling it here. You heard it here first. It may be
This
crazy, but
I don't think
that's
you're
my
crazy. I don't have Wichita State winning. Really more so because I'd like to see Houston and Memphis, but
I agree.
Wichita
But
State is a team I could see Wichita State is that's not crazy, but I'm taking Memphis.
Memphis won the season series. They swept them. They won by 5 and 10. But Wichita State's a tough team to beat 3 times.
Yeah,
Once they
Wichita
get that,
State.
I
I
mean,
feel like they are a team. They're definitely beside like Houston and maybe Cincinnati. I would take Wichita State as like the third best defense.
oh, they're
And I
very fundamental and playing you more than I mean, they get you 3 times. They know what you're coming. I mean, they know your game plan. I mean, and Memphis gonna have to shoot lights out to win that game. And
yeah,
I just think Wichita State's going to win it. But then I do have them falling, sadly, to Houston because I just feel like Houston's just too much. I mean, at some point the magic goes away, and Houston wins the AAC.
yep. I mean, this one Houston beat Memphis twice in the regular season. One was close, one was kind of like 8 or 9. But yeah, just give me Houston. They're just, I mean, they're the best team in the country for a reason, or highest
Right.
ranked. So
That's right.
give me Houston, winning my AAC.
Yep. And I mean, anything can happen. Obviously, I don't know that Houston. I mean, I think Houston can fall in the conference tournament, and I'm just going to go ahead and foreshadow myself right here. I don't think they last very long in the big tournament. I think they get upset pretty quick. Not no knock on them, but they're just a team that looks set up to do that.
Mm,
Being an AAC team, they play tough teams obviously, but they don't play a insane schedule all year. And I just feel like they are just that's the recipe for disaster for a 1 seed.
that's true.
So that's just a little bit of foreshadowing for me. And then we're going Pac-12. I can
Mhm.
also show this one. If I can get it on there. Pac-12, man. I wish they were a lot more exciting, but they're not. I mean, if you're turning this on, it's because it's 11 o'clock at night and nothing else is on. No offense. Or if you bet on this and it's your last leg of your parlay and somebody off of terrible California fouls out and loses to the last leg, that's why you're watching the game. But I hope that happens to no one on the podcast. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I hope your legs are not
If you're
ruined by California.
Nah, bro. If you're betting on California, you deserve to lose money.
You've never bet on California all year. On any of their players. You
I
know
might
you
have.
have.
Maybe. Oh
You
no,
know
I
you
did. I remember one specifically, but he was 3K and he was the best player on the team, so I had to.
Okay. Well, Colorado and Washington's going to lead us off. And looking at this matchup, I believe Colorado won both, right? Or won one?
Let me double check. I want to say they split. I believe they did. Pac-12. Let's see. So
Colorado beat them by 14. And then
Colorado
lost by 2.
and then lost by 3.
3. Excuse me.
So yeah.
I went Colorado here. I just
Wait,
think,
no. Washington
What?
won both times.
Where?
They beat him by 10, and then they beat him by 3.
Is this not this season? Oh man, that's not this season. Sorry. I'm not changing my pick. Go Colorado. Go Buffs.
Oh my god. I have Washington.
Colorado's played them better. Them good teams. They played them tough. I think that's a good thing from this time of year. So give me Colorado.
I mean, I'm always going to trust the team who's beat the team twice. So I have to go Washington just off that logic.
I don't even think we need to explain this next one. Washington State over Cal. We owe nobody explanation on that. Oregon State versus Arizona State, same thing. I mean,
Same
Oregon State couldn't play with me and Darren probably. So I'm going Arizona State easily, like 25 at least. Bet the over. I mean, bet on their point. I would bet on the points, even if it's 14. Utah State. Utah versus Stanford. This one is where things start to get a little crazy in the Pac-12. Not really, because it's still boring. But I'm going with Stanford with the upset. They beat them in the season. Stanford's – who did they beat? They beat one of the big dogs.
Arizona.
They beat Arizona? Yeah, they beat Arizona. There's no way Stanford loses this game to Utah. It's not even – not even in question. Stanford by 6.
I'm also taking Stanford. Just the Stanford win over Arizona really has me thinking about them differently, which will probably get them set up to lose. Because Utah is a good team still. They have had a lot of ups and downs, also a lot of injuries. But I think Stanford pulls it out slightly.
I agree. And just so y'all know, me and Darren did not discuss these picks before. We're just
Not yet. These are all
we weirdly
picks.
think alike.
Because
So
we have the
then we
same
got UCLA.
we're not
What?
dumb. We have the same mind for the most
Right.
part. Except when you talk crap about UTSA. Then you're wrong.
Excuse me. UCLA's taking on Colorado, and I think you know how this one ends. At least I do. Give me
Well,
UCLA.
I have them playing Washington, and it ends the same way. Give me UCLA.
Next up, I got an upset, and I think I heard you say you had an upset on this one too. Oregon's not beating Washington State. They're not.
I don't think
They're
they
not.
really do. Washington State's really hot right now. They're probably
They're hot.
behind UCLA. They're the hottest team to me. So give me Washington State.
Well, Washington State finished off a parlay for me, and for that, I've got to go with them. I had a three-team road parlay, boosted odds,
Do remember that. I remember you hit that against
1,000, and it was Penn State, USC, and Washington State to win on the road. Washington State beat Stanford and closed it. beats Stanford and closes it out. 110,000 flip coins.
That's a
Beautiful,
nice one.
beautiful.
That you
So
didn't
for
send
that, they're
me.
going to beat Oregon. Do
Oh wait,
what?
you sent it to me. I don't think I played it though.
You should have played it. You should have ran that up. Speaking of, I'll talk about my parlays later because I've hit 4 in a row. Just so you know.
Oh,
Okay, USC and Arizona State. Um, USC Boogie Ellis, he's a beast. He's a beast. Uh, and they're going to win this game. Arizona State's hot, and I could definitely see them upsetting right here. They beat Arizona a few weeks ago. Um, if they shoot it, they're very good. But I think overall USC's fighting for. I mean, they have a real shot at making the tournament with a win or two in the conference tournament. So I think this one means a little bit more to them than Arizona. Arizona State still got to win 4 games to get in the tournament, probably. So USC's going. This going to mean a little bit more to them. So give me USC.
yep. USC has looked like the more complete team also over the years. Like they have the close games, close wins against better teams. Arizona State has one or two here and there, but USC has just looked better to me. So I'm gonna take USC.
Yeah. And then we got Arizona. Arizona takes on Stanford. Um, Stanford did defeat Arizona, and it's got D-Bray feeling some type of way. But Arizona's too good to lose this time of year. They lay low all year. They're not talked about much. I mean I feel like they're just too good for Stanford in this time. Stanford's and it's the same type of thing. Arizona wants a 2 seed. Maybe I mean they're playing for something right here. Stanford they're just hoping. So give me Arizona.
Yeah, I agree. I think Stanford did get the win the first time, but Arizona, I feel like, is too good to lose to a team like Stanford twice. Not no knock on Stanford, but they're the 10 seed in this tournament. Like there's no way Arizona is that bad really
Right, I agree.
to do that.
And then UCLA gonna take on Washington State. A hot Washington State team. I could see this one getting close. And like we talked about, in the semis, it's never easy. Never easy in the semis. Just because what's at stake. Um, Washington State, if they could get this win, they would probably get an at-large bid. I would say if they could win 3 games in the Pac-12 tournament. Um, but it's not going to happen. UCLA's too good. They're just, I mean, they're they have everything it takes to be a national champion. I honestly believe that, and they're a dark horse for me. I don't know how dark they actually are, but they're my dark horse to win the national championship.
Yeah, I'm going UCLA as well. UCLA just when I think about Washington State strengths, it comes down to a lot of inside scoring, good rebounding, where I feel like UCLA matches that and is better just scoring the basketball. I think UCLA they also run pretty slow, which Washington State also is like not the quickest team, so it'll come down to a lot of close possessions. And I feel like a team like UCLA, they've been through all that, and that's why they are, a top 5 team in the country. So I'm going to take UCLA.
The next one we have Arizona, the 2 seed, taking on USC. Both of us have that. Um, as we said before, Arizona was just too good. I mean, and like I said, they're a team like that's always going to be there. They're tough. They're a tough out in March every time. They're just one of them teams, man. I mean, there's certain teams that when you think of March Madness, you think of, and I think of Arizona. I mean, I remember watching DeAndre Ayton. I mean, those were some of the best nights, school nights, staying up late. Remember watching that cat play. Arizona, they're gonna win this game. I mean, USC's not a basketball school. Give me Arizona.
I like USC squad, but yeah, like you kind of said, Arizona's been here more often. They had the experience of being already successful. The same team as they were really good last year with Benedict Mathurin, among others. Um, so I'm going to take Arizona as well, and a close one though. USC is a good squad. They're going to be a dark horse for the actual tournament, I think.
They're
But
gonna be an
here,
eight. Probably, I would say they're an 8 seed. They're gonna be a tough out for that one that they get to in the second round.
Yeah, they are. So, but I'm gonna take Arizona.
UCLA and Arizona, and this is probably not a very popular pick because everybody. I mean, UCLA's the team to beat, but I mean, it just goes back how I've been describing Arizona. I mean, they've been here, and obviously UCLA's been here. I'm not uneducated. They're a very very talented school in every sport, but in this current setting, UCLA has. I mean, they're expected to win all of them. Arizona wants to take it away from them. They want. I mean, they want the Pac-12 title. That gives them a 2 seed probably. I mean, UCLA wins it. They're a 1 seed. So I mean, these both schools are going to be fighting, but they split the season series, and I just feel like Arizona beats them this time. I think they get the best of them and take them down in the final.
Yep. I also have Arizona winning, but like if UCLA went, obviously I wouldn't be shocked. I just think who's been hotter toward the end. Like Arizona did have the one slip up against Stanford, but I feel like a loss like that can kind of give you some fuel to play better, and it has since then. They've been much better, much more polished. UCLA has had a ton of close games with like middle of the pack teams, so I'm gonna take Arizona to win that.
Yeah. Dark horse in this tournament, though, as we mentioned, is I mean, we didn't mention this, but Arizona State is a dark horse. Let them get hot, and they may make a run at it. I mean,
I
they can make a
think
run for the title.
Arizona State. I could see a way Stanford makes a run to get deep. Washington State,
Washington
even.
State is a sleeper.
So
If
yeah,
they could somehow take down UCLA,
there's some teams in here who could make surprising runs.
I agree. But the Pac-12 overall, rating their season, I would give them a 3. I mean, very disappointing. Very disappointing, man. And you want people to on the East Coast to stay up and watch it, but then you put out this kind of basketball, and nobody's gonna watch that. I mean, it's terrible.
Nah, yeah, I can't stay up for those games.
But we'll get it back in here, and we're gonna move on to our biggest tournament. Our whole
Yeah,
season revolves around this. We saved these two for last because Darren's GMU and my Clemson Tigers are these both are their tournaments, and
hmm
they surprisingly both had great years. I wouldn't
so
say
I would
great,
say no. I'd say both exceeded expectations though.
very
I want
much
to
so.
say in our
Very,
preseason poll, I want to say they had a seventh or eighth.
we were as low as 10th, I believe, maybe not, but to be a 3 seed in the ACC tournament, we'll talk about it later. But it's a blessing as a Clemson basketball fan to see them that good because it's never happened in my life.
hmm
But we'll get to the A10. Got it right here on the side. We're not going to be. I can pull up a bracket if you want to start talking, giving a little
Yeah, yeah.
rundown of.
So for the A10, I'm just gonna do a quick breakdown of the actual conference and just watching it. Um, very inconsistent. We've had teams up, best team in the league. One consistent part of the conference has been VCU on top. I think you ask anybody who's kept up with the conference at all, VCU is kind of the one, and then everybody else is just kind of there. I'd say if I had to rank like tiers, VCU was up here, and then from Dayton to about Duquesne is like solid teams, and then Davidson beneath is just kind of like, they could win, they probably won't. So that's kind of my overview of the actual tournament. Um, since we have the bracket here, we can just kick it right off if you want to start with Richmond and UMass.
Oh yeah, and a lot. I obviously did studying on these games and looked into them deeply because I want to get the picks right. But I feel like in this conference, it's hard to know what's going to happen. And
For
for the
sure.
most part, I really go with my gut when it comes to the A10, just because it's so competitive and like I feel like when I look at their games, I can just look at it and pick a winner. Like the winner comes to me. Not that. Not it doesn't matter what they do in the season
I
series.
swear, I felt the same thing. Like for a lot of these second round games, especially, it was just kind of like these teams are both kind of playing equal. Like I think this team has been better slightly, but it is really just off of you know who plays better on the night.
We'll kick it right off. We'll start with the 12 and 13. We'll go down the bottom
Yeah,
side because technically Davidson and St. Bonaventure are in the second round.
second round. Yeah,
So Richmond and UMass. This is another one. I just can't look at UMass and think they're going to win this game. Not
yeah.
much data from me on here. I'm going Richmond. I think they're the better squad.
I have Richmond also. Richmond doesn't have their coach still. He's out with some like heart condition, which has kind of thrown a wrench in their plans because they were a squad who was decent for a majority of the year. Then that happened, and they've kind of bumped down.
But that could also be some extra added motivation
That's true.
as well.
They played a George Mason team for their last game of the year, down, getting killed the whole game, and then they just make a run. So it shows me that they're a team who still has some fight. UMass has their nights, but I think Richmond's looked more. They've looked better, more consistently, more throughout the year. So I'll give Richmond a slight edge.
This next one, I went with the favorite here, but it took every part of me not to pick Loyola. I have this feeling that they're going to win this game. Maybe it's because they've done it in March. Maybe it's because they made a run a few years ago. Maybe it's all that poured into it. I have a hard time picking St. Joe's, but I think it's the only logical answer. I'm going to have to go St. Joe's. I think they're the better squad as of now. Loyola, they're not. They just haven't been very good all year. I mean, they obviously took down Clemson somehow. I don't. That's the most embarrassing loss ever. But I just can't. I can't see them winning.
Yeah, I have St. Joe's as well. Loyola also, they're a tournament team, but also this is not the same Loyola team that has made it this far or made it to the bracket easily winning their conference. This is not that team. They're not going to win the conference. They won't. I don't think they win a game. And Eric Reynolds, St. Joe's, he's A10. I'd say he's a first team candidate. Like the kid can play. He can shoot the ball. And if they don't guard Eric Reynolds, they won't have a chance. So give me St. Joe's.
And last but not least, same thing here, Rhode Island. I kind of felt some tug towards them, but then LaSalle's the better squad. They played George Mason tough. Just keeping up with George Mason, they played him tough. But LaSalle's going to win this game. They're the better squad. They've been playing decent as of late, I believe. Rhode Island hasn't really hit many strides this year, so give me LaSalle.
Yeah, LaSalle has just been slightly more competitive. They had a streak where they were like the hottest team in the conference. They're not there now. I want to say they lost their last four. One of them was to George Mason on George Mason's homecoming, where they came in and they only lost by like 4 to like the other hottest team in the conference. So I don't think that's a bad loss by any means. Give me LaSalle. It'll be close though. Rhode Island they have their moments.
Yeah. Next up, Davidson and St. Bonaventure. And this is just one of them teams, man. I don't know what it is. There's these teams that I have this emotional, this love for. And I don't know why, but St. Bonaventure is one of them teams. The Bonnies, I mean, I like them, man. I don't know what it is about them, but I just want them to win. And I think they're going to beat Davidson. I just had that feeling that they're going to beat Davidson. I obviously couldn't get the feeling of them beating DCU, but I do believe they're going to beat Davidson here.
Yep. So I have Davidson. Davidson and St. Bonaventure, I feel like, are two super similar teams. Davidson's coming in pretty hot. St. Bonaventure's not on the same type of level. But both of these teams are facing a fall off from last year, where Davidson, I want to say, was the 1 seed, and St. Bonaventure they were ranked for a while. Was that last year or was the year before?
Um,
It couldn't have been
I'm
the
not
year before
sure. I'm
because the
not
year
sure.
before was VCU because that was the COVID year. So it had to be last year. St. Bonaventure was ranked for a lot of the year, but Davidson was really good as well. St. Bonaventure has a former NCAA March Madness tournament hero, Daryl Banks. If you remember him on the St. Peter's team, Daryl Banks was their leading scorer over Dougie Eddard. So he's the guy who likes this type of environment. But I am going to go Davidson, Foster Lawyer. Overall, I think they have a better core. So I would take Davidson.
Richmond and George Mason. Um, I'm going with the boys here. George Mason's hot right now. They just took down Richmond. Kind of got out to a big lead, and then they kind of let Richmond come back. That happens. It happens like that a lot in basketball. Um, but I don't know that this one's particularly close. I would go Mason by 12.
Yep, I got to go with the guys. Not only did they beat Richmond twice in a year, Mason is also expected to get back their second leading scorer, Victor Bailey. So, in a neutral site, I would definitely take Mason here, considering we just beat the same team on the road without him. Um, and we were blowing him out from
Right.
majority of the game. So yeah, I'll take
And
Mason.
no GMU merch is on Darren for the podcast, which is pretty disappointing
I,
considering he knew we were talking about
I'm
him.
saving it for the game tomorrow.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like a good luck, you know.
Okay, so then we got St. Joseph's, George Washington. And I feel like this can be an upset here, but at the same time, I just feel like George Washington's the better squad as a whole, and I'm going George Washington just based off feeling. I didn't do any research on this one, just felt.
Yep. Um, George Washington has who I think is probably the A10 player of the year, and James Bishop. This team, I remember they both these teams came into Mason and beat us. Um, but the way George Washington did it with the fans were crazy. St. Joe's, I can't say the same. St. Joe's, we just came out and looked real not there. While George Washington, I feel like we played good, but they beat us playing real good. So George Washington, James Bishop, I expect them to move on here.
Yeah. Um. Then last, LaSalle and Duquesne. Duquesne dominated LaSalle. I mean, I don't think it was close. I think it was like 26 point, like
It
77
was
to
a lot.
51. Um,
I
but
believe
if you
that.
want to talk about this, I gotta go grab a charger for the MacBook. So I'll be right back.
Duquesne and LaSalle. Um, I mean, by the way he just made it sounds like he's going with Duquesne, which I would as well. Duquesne, beside the last game against Fordham, I feel like Duquesne has looked pretty good for the end of the year. They're really hot as well. Beat us at home by 20. Beat teams like George Washington, blowout on the road. St. Louis on the road, they only lost by 5. And then yeah, they beat LaSalle at LaSalle by 17. So for that reason, I will be taking Duquesne, who's really surprised a lot of the A10 this year. I don't think anybody was expecting Duquesne to be in the top anywhere. Um, I'll wait to move on to the next game until he's back. I have it gonna be you back? Okay. So I just basically you're taking Duquesne, right?
That's right.
Okay. So yeah, and I explain why.
I'm taking Duquesne because they're better.
And we won by 17 on the road.
Right. VCU, Davidson for you. VCU, St. Bonaventure for me. Not really. It may be close for a while, but VCU is going to pull out and probably pull away in the end.
I agree. I could see this one being close, but VCU's beside Mason, I'd say VCU has been the hottest team, so I'll take VCU pretty easily.
George Mason at St. or well, against St. Louis. Here's where I get a little tricky with the boys. They're hot. They almost beat St. Louis on the road. So when they weren't hot, so I feel like as good as they're
True.
playing right now, the run will not end at the hands of St. Louis.
I agree. This is one I didn't want to see St. Louis. I would have much rather seen Fordham, but when I really look back on it, I came into that game thinking St. Louis was going to beat us out by like 10 to 15, and we should have won the game. It was very close the whole game, and then we just couldn't pull it out. I feel like now we've been in those road situations where we've had to pull games out, and we've done it against decent teams. We beat a team like Dayton just a week or two ago on the road, and Dayton I feel like is a much better team than St. Louis. So I'm going to take George Mason.
Dayton and George Washington. I went Dayton here. Dayton's a better squad. They're not playing great right now, I would say, but I do think they pull this one out. But I don't think they last very long. Foreshadowing. Um. Anyway, not much explanation there for me.
Yeah, I'm taking Dayton as well. They have another A-10 player to your candidate in Deron Holmes. They did lose to George Washington in the year, but I think Dayton's the more reliable team.
Agreed. Fordham and Duquesne. Fordham's hot. I mean, not really hot, but they did beat Duquesne, right? Pretty handedly the other day.
Last game of the year, they beat Duquesne by 27.
Right. Right. Yeah, Fordham by a lot.
And
No,
this
well, not
game is
maybe not by a lot in the tournament.
with the game being in New York, in Brooklyn, that's where the tournament's held. I feel like
At the
Fordham
Nets
hasn't
Stadium,
been
at the Nets Arena.
Barclays.
Is that where it's at?
Um, I'm not quite sure,
Okay, go
but
ahead and I'll look.
regardless, I'll take Fordham. Um, Fordham has impressed me a lot this year. I'd say for the most part, they've shocked everybody. Fordham was the team that beat George Mason in the A-10 tournament in the first round last year, and that was a 9-8 game. So good to see them being successful. And yeah, I'll go with Fordham here.
Okay. VCU and George Mason. Wanted to go George Mason here. Could see it happen and hope it happens, but VCU is just too much, and especially this time of year.
Yep, I got to go with VCU. I would love to see Mason win this game because I feel like if we win this game, we win the whole tournament.
I agree.
But I got to go VCU. They look like the best team by a good margin.
Then Dayton and Fordham. I went. I went with an upset here. Maybe you don't think it's an upset, but I went Fordham here. Um, I think they're not necessarily super hot right now, but I think you give them a game to beat Duquesne again like they did already and get hot. Um, I think they'll handle Dayton.
I like it. I am going Dayton though.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Dayton playing George Washington in the first game. They're gonna have to play good to beat George Washington anyway. And I think them playing George Washington is a good test to a team like Fordham. Fordham is a similar team. They have a lot of guards who space the floor. A solid like four type player for Fordham and Khalid Moore, I want to think is his name. Georgia Tech transfer. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go Dayton. I think they have the front court who can match up with Fordham, and I think Dayton wins it.
VCU and Fordham for me. I'm going VCU. There's a chance to me. That's all I got.
Dayton did just beat Fordham, or sorry, not Fordham. They did just beat VCU on the road. for what it's worth. But I think VCU is hotter right now, and if it comes down to a final game, a tournament game, anything like that, I'll take VCU because they've been there before. So I'm gonna go VCU as well.
All right. Well, VCU, we both have 60% chance with VCU, and we're going to run through this ACC. The first two rounds, we'll run through it pretty fast so we don't run out of time, and then we'll explain the deeper rounds because the first few rounds are rough because there's some bad teams.
Yep.
But let me get this off the screen. So I have it right here, and I'll just try to pull it up. In game one, we got Florida State and Georgia Tech.
You don't have it on the screen.
They,
by the way.
I'm trying to get it on the screen.
Go ahead.
Florida State and Georgia Tech. I'm going Florida State here. Georgia Tech's really hot right now, but I just feel like, well, I'm just gonna run through this. I'm going Florida State here. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm going Georgia Tech with the upset. Florida State's probably the more tournament team, but Georgia Tech is hotter right now, and I'm going with them.
I respect it. BC and Louisville. BC at times has showed some really good signs. They beat Clemson and Virginia. They almost beat Duke. So I'm gonna go BC by a lot against Louisville.
Yeah, BC is hotter. Louisville had a good win against Clemson, but that's like the only win they have. So
Virginia Tech and Notre Dame. Virginia Tech, it's crazy that they're the 11th seed because I feel like they've shown flashes of being a 4 or 5, but they've got some bad losses as well as some good wins. But I feel like they'll beat Notre Dame handedly. Notre Dame's pretty bad.
yeah,
So
Notre Dame looks real rough. I'm taking
sorry.
VT as well.
Sorry. Syracuse and Wake Forest. Wake Forest just lost. What's his name? Crap.
Monsanto?
Yeah, Monsanto. No, did they lose Monsanto?
Well, he's the guy who's been out for him. Was it somebody else? Are you talking about Appleby?
No, they haven't lost Appleby. They lost a big player. I can't remember the name. So I don't think Wake is as good as they have been right now. But I'm gonna go Syracuse in this one. They just beat them the other day, so I'm going Syracuse.
I think Syracuse is probably the smarter pick, but I am gonna go Wake.
If they get hot, they can win the tournament.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Wake.
Oh my lord! Hang on. Hey, cover this one. I've got Florida State over Pitt. I'll explain it.
He has Florida State over Pitt. I'll have Pitt against Georgia Tech, where I think Pitt will win. Pitt, I think, is a tad overrated. I don't know how really they're the 5 seed. Like, they are a good team, but like I feel like a team like Wake Forest could beat them. A team like Syracuse could beat them. Honestly, even a team like Virginia Tech, I could see them beating Pitt, and it wouldn't shock me. But I do have Pitt beating Georgia Tech in that.
I'm back. Sorry. Yes, I do have Pitt losing to Florida State. Nothing about Pitt excites me in the realm of things.
Okay.
And you have Georgia Tech you have Pitt over Georgia Tech, correct?
Yep.
Correct. Okay. Boston College and North Carolina. I want to go Boston College here. I really wanted to go Boston College here because I think that if they play well against Louisville and get hot, they can win this game. But North Carolina's a little bit better overall. So I'm going to go North Carolina.
Yeah, and North Carolina also has a big guy. I don't know if you know him, Armando Bacot, who can contest the likes of Post from Boston College.
Right.
And I think North Carolina has the shooters to beat a team like Boston College if those two bigs X out. And I think the guard play at UNC is better. So I'm going to take them.
I agree. Then we got Virginia Tech and NC State. I'm going to upset here, and you may think I'm crazy, but Virginia Tech they won the ACC last year. They've been, I mean, they can turn it on when they can, and or when they feel like it. Sometimes Padula can get going, Couture can get going, Mutz is decent in the paint. So give me Virginia Tech over NC State.
Yeah, I'm going NC State. I just think they have a better core, better team. Virginia Tech, this is not that same team from last year. They don't have guys like Aluma was there last year also, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, so and I feel like he was their best player. When you anytime you lose your best guy, you lose your leader. So
right.
I'm gonna go with NC State there.
The one seed Miami kicks it off as that double buys can start to play, and they take on Syracuse. This one won't be close at all. Miami wins this game by 25 points. Syracuse
Yeah,
can't contest. They can't contest. They can't defend Miami's offense.
yeah, I've got Miami beating Wake Forest. Miami's just
Oh
a
yeah,
much better squad.
that game will probably be 130 to 110. But
Yeah,
Duke and Florida State for me. I'm going Duke, not close. Duke's hot right now. They're scary right now. I would hate to. I'm so glad Clemson got the 3 seed because I did not want to see them in the first game.
yeah, I have Duke beating Pitt. Just same reason. Duke looks really good right now, and Pitt just is a little overrated to me.
I agree. Virginia and North Carolina. I think this one can be a lot closer. I do think North Carolina did beat them the other day. It was at North Carolina. You can't win there. Um, but I do think UVA wins this game. And puts UNC into the NIT. That's what we love to see.
Yeah, I'm going the other way. I think UNC Virginia hasn't looked like the same team that we saw at the start
I
of the year with two bad losses. One to UNC and then the one to Boston College. Like I'm just not really with them. UNC almost took down the Duke team, although it was at home. That's a big game for them. That they kept it close. I think that's good for them, and I think that's good enough to get them past Virginia.
agree. Clemson and Virginia Tech for me. Clemson and NC State for you. I've got Clemson in this one, regardless if it is Virginia Tech or NC State. They beat their combined 4-0 versus both of those teams. So or combined 5-0 if you add Notre Dame in there from anybody they're going to play. So I just think they're the better squad, and they're playing really well right now. Believe it or not, they're actually shooting the ball at a good clip, and PJ Hall is really dominating games down low. So I don't think this game. I mean, I think it'll be close for a while because it's Clemson, obviously, and it'll probably be close in the end. But if Clemson gets NC State, they have whatever they. I mean, they have a number on NC State because they put up an insane amount of points both time against them. So, give me Clemson.
Yeah,
And
I got
then
Clemson and NC State, and then Clemson has made NC State look bad both games. So I'm gonna just go with the hot hand.
I agree. Miami and Duke. I do think this one, Miami and Duke for me. I think it's the same for you. Miami's just they shoot it so well, man. If they don't shoot it well, Duke can handle Miami. I really think that right now. And I would love to pick Duke, but I just think Miami's offense is just too good. And Omir can contest Filipowski down low, and I mean they're just too good right now. Give me Miami.
I'm also taking Miami. Basically the same stuff you said. They shoot the ball lights out. They're really quick. It's hard for any team to guard them, and I think Miami's just going to be better at scoring the ball.
We got to wrap this up in a minute somehow. Virginia and Clemson rematch of last week's game. I've got Clemson actually taking down Virginia in this one because Clemson lost by 7 at Virginia with Clemson's two best shooters only scoring 7 combined points. So I'm going Clemson here.
I've got Clemson over UNC because they have bigs who can contest Baycott.
And they did lose by 20 at UNC, but we already know how that goes.
Exactly.
Miami and Clemson for me. You said the same thing?
Miami. Yep. I'm going
I'm
Miami
going
because they cannot
Miami.
shoot.